Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sober Witch Life podcast. Happy in bulk. I'm recording this here on February 2nd. And so we are in this lovely, lovely holiday of in bulk, the very first spring, which is hard to believe for those of us that are in the north because, if you're anywhere close to me, it's snowing out today, right? So it's been snowing on and off pretty much all day. But welcome back. Today's episode is brought to you by Ghostbusters 2. Yeah, seriously. I think I've shared with you, like, I often write and then I kind of record the podcast. And so um the world is in this really weird place, and I've been thinking a lot about this over the course of the last couple of days. And I want to tell you and start off first that if things are feeling difficult or hard or challenging, or you are feeling overextended or a bit moody, or I don't even know, like maybe even easily agitated, or maybe you're wearing your crazy on your sleeve, you're not alone in any of this. I've been sitting in this kind of energetic, I would say probably since last Tuesday. I don't know what shifted last Tuesday, but that's what popped into my head. And a lot of this I know right now is because of the collective energy, right? It's not, and I pay very conscious attention to the things in my own life, right? I'm like, okay, yeah. So I've checked all of those things. And so every time I kind of lean in of where is this coming from, when I'm paying attention to my own body, my own nervous system, I'm realizing that this is the collective I'm feeling right now, right? And I'm feeling it like I show up into the recovery circles, into the meetings, into any of the spaces, and I can feel it. And sometimes there's conversation about it, but often there is not, right? Often no one is talking about really like the elephant in the room, so to speak, right? It is causing families to have, challenges and difficult and like split friendships. I'm very lucky that last week someone on my friends list has been for a long time, did not agree with something I posted, and they said, we might not see eye to eye, but I love you and I respect you, and I really appreciated that. But that's not the case with a lot of folks. There are friendships that are like starting to battle. There are communities that are fighting. And we're in a place right now too that even neighbors can become suspicious of the same people that they've lived next door to for, I don't know, maybe decades. Um, and the thing that I find really upsetting for me is that I don't even know that when people start talking about like why they have the views and the perspectives that they do, that they can actually articulate the why, like with like true meaning, like facts, right? It's like people are just regurgitating the other BS, the other bullshit that they're seeing, and have no like research or done no exploration of like where these things have come from. There's just this like constant agitation, fear, uh, reactivity, like quick to react, that's kind of lingering in the air. And so I was sitting there yesterday, and all of a sudden, I don't know why, right? I have no clue why. But the river of slime from Ghostbusters 2 appears in my head, right? Appears in my mind's eye. And so I decided to drop a post on social media, and I said, anybody else feel like we're living in Ghostbusters 2 and there's a river of slime under the US, right? And if you don't know the movie, there is this river of pink psychoreactive sludge that is running underneath New York City. And this slime, right, feeds on anger and negativity, and like both, like any of the emotions in this kind of like really low vibrational state. And as it continues to grow and get stronger, it feeds more and more anger and negativity. It's just this perpetual cycle. And so I don't even know how many comments I'd gotten by the end of the day when I tapped out to go to bed. But yep, I got like, yep, yep, I get it, I see it, I feel it, yep, right? That's what the United States feels like right now. Like there's this psycho-reactive sludge just permeating underneath, the entire country. And yeah, yeah. So if like you're a witch or an empath or a highly sensitive human being, please know you don't have to be even watching the news, reading the news, or talking about any of this. You're going to feel this. You're going to feel it into your body. You're going to feel this like discomfort or this unsettled nature, even on the days where like everything is like otherwise is pretty cool and copacetic, right? And this is really, really dangerous for folks that are in recovery, right? Because this is nervous system overload that we're feeling. Like all of this is nervous system overload. And I'm not talking about like anxiety in this like definable way, like, oh, I'm so anxious that I've got a new job interview tomorrow, right? I'm not even talking about a panic attack of like this just very intensive, wave of panic or anxiety, but this like constant state, right, of being over capacity. Like your system is where you're like constantly just perched. You ever watch like a scared animal and their ears are back and they're just kind of always on guard? No, maybe no threat, but they're just on guard. And the reality is so many of us in active addiction, we're always living like this, right? Our nervous systems were just absolutely fried out. We were drowning in emotions or drowning in avoiding emotions. Like we were, the sensitivities, the trauma, all of these expectations, and we began to drink or use drugs or scroll or work compulsively, all as a way to kind of numb out and not have to feel it, right? It was a way to get some quiet, some relief from all of this chaos. And science even backs this up and shows that chronic stress, right, elevates our cortisol and our emotions get harder to regulate. So, like, we're just watching that cycle. Like, science shows that this cycle kind of exists. Our impulse control begins to drop when we're in this state, and a relapse risk goes up when that nervous system is dysregulated, right? So, this is a really, really uncomfortable and dangerous time for folks that are in recovery, you know? Yeah, that collective energetic is something else. And I've been sitting there and I've been thinking about it. And as I got ready to, kind of write and talk to you all today, I was like, oh snap, it is February, right? You know what that means? It's no longer dry January, right? Dry January, like this whole concept behind it is this like socially acceptable pause to like give up drinking, right? I'm just gonna not drink for January. And you can explain it like, oh, I'm just trying dry, it's just dry January. Oh, I just drank a lot over the holidays. I needed to give my liver a break, right? I'm just gonna see what it's like. And I would imagine for a handful of people, it's casual. It's just like, yeah, cool. I'm just going to do this. But the reality is when somebody steps into that place of moderation in any way, shape, or form, that is the beginning. My belief is of shifting and changing and evaluating their relationship with alcohol. It becomes a quiet experiment. What is life like without alcohol? What is life like without drugs? What is life like without working, 15, 16 hours a day, whatever it is, right? Because maybe your resolutions for the year weren't dry January. It was no working past 6 p.m. January, right? Always showing up for my family for dinner January. Maybe it was, goodness, you know, giving myself some more grace January, right? But here we are on the other side of January, and there's no more socially imposed or suggested month to give it a shot to not do those things. That container is gone, right? And now the world's in the state that I was talking about, more volatile, more unsettled, right? And that like socially accepted container is gone. And so, for those that may have been hoping that dry January would be the catalyst for dry 2026, yeah, good luck, right? Plus, we're layering on this tail end of the year of the snake, right? The Chinese astrological year ends here February 16th. So we're at the very tail end of, and so we're talking about transformation. We're this energetic state that we're in, chaos plus transformation plus this, removing this socially acceptable container. The All of these things combined are telling me there's a huge risk factor here in play. So if staying grounded right now, right, not losing your shit right now feels harder, it doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're failing at recovery. It doesn't mean that you're failing at improving your life or getting better, or whatever, however it is that you want to call it. It means that you're responding to the reality that we're living in right now. And I want to say this is not a you problem, right? Don't take this on as being a you problem. Shame thrives in silence. People are struggling right now. Period. Period. Feeling, this bit of anxiety, feeling maybe at risk of wanting to pick up again does not mean that you're broken, does not mean that you're fucking up. Feeling overwhelmed doesn't mean that you're weak. Studies have consistently shown that when we find ourselves in this place of shame, right, feeling shame for how we're feeling or what we're doing or how we're processing it, or defining that we're not processing it or doing it the right way, it increases the risk of a relapse. So what might help in that situation? I'm going to tell you, that is naming that place of vulnerability, telling someone, tattling on yourself and saying, I'm having a really effing hard time right now. Awareness is not failure, it is wisdom. And once we acknowledge that this moment is genuinely hard, that we're struggling, right? We can ask a better question. And that question, to me, right, when I recognize that things are a bit tough, right? I said, what can I do? Right? I feel pretty okay in my recovery, right? I've got a whole ton of tools, that I've learned, that I've used, right? I don't feel at risk of a relapse, but what can I do right now? How can I be of service in this time and place? If I am feeling pretty sound and solid right now, what can I do? What would help me even, right? What kind of responsibility do I have? And for me, I had to get really, really intentional. And the number one thing is, I'm trying to make sure that people know that they can reach out to me, right? Not that I'm going to fix them or make things go away or make it undifficult or hard or anything, but I can hold space, right? I can make sure that they know that they're not alone. I can listen. And if they need a little bit of guidance and that's what they want, I can provide it. I'm very blessed and lucky that I have the gift of, these beautiful psychic gifts and a connection to the divine. And if I can provide some clarity that provides some confidence and comfort to someone, I'm going to do it. I'm also making sure that I'm protecting and grounding the recovery community that I lead, right? The Recovery Coven, the Witches Recovery Circles, everything, right? Consistency is not optional right now. We are showing up, right? We're keeping the container steady, not canceling, trying my darndest, I should say, not to. Like, life sometimes does happen, but we're checking in, we're being honest, we're being accountable. Stability right now is the medicine that the world needs when things feel so unpredictable. I was going to say unpredictable. And last but not least, I'm sharing my story. I'm talking about it. And I try never to shy away doing this, but I think it's even more important right now. Over and over again, there is somebody else that is out there that is quietly struggling. I've had a handful of folks tell me this week, I'm so glad that you share this information. I listen to everything. I listen to it in the morning and I think about what your words say all day long. God, whew. So I keep sharing my story. especially to witches in recovery, especially to the people that don't feel safe in a 12-step program, especially to those who are trying to figure out how to stay sober or clean in a world that feels like it's on fire. As for another thing that we can do, I'm a witch. Many of you that are listening to this are going to be witches, magical practitioners. And I hear this all the time, right? I hear this in Facebook, Facebook groups. I hear this in the Reddit sub communities. I hear this, just as I read the news. Like, there's nothing we can do if someone we love is struggling in addiction. There's no magic you can do if you're struggling with addiction, right? You just have to want to get sober. They have to want to get sober. It's out of your hands. I hear this all the time, and I call bullshit on that. We are witches. We are magic practitioners. We are people that work with intention and energy, and we can do something. We can pray for them. We can set intentions for them. We can hold rituals for them. We can do spell work for them. Spell work, all of these that support courage and clarity and a path towards sovereignty, not control or manipulation of this individual, not trying to force an outcome, but trying to shift the energetic into their world so that they have the courage they need to take the steps towards a more beautiful life. Even the serenity prayer in and of itself names this: the courage that I need to change what I can. That's where our magic lives for these folks or for ourselves if we need that. And I'm not just like making this up too. Research even shows that prayer, intention, and like this very meaningful kind of work reduces stress and increases resilience. So, from a witchcraft perspective, we've already known this. We've known this like ancestral knowledge as it's existed, but focused intention can change how we move through the world. And it might not happen overnight. You got to do it consistently. You got to do it regularly. I literally have a prayer that I say every day, right? I end the recovery circles with that prayer. This isn't bypassing the reality. This isn't, trying to create a codependent relationship. It's meeting this situation consciously and magically. I'm going to leave you with this. This is a really heavy moment that we're in right now. And you are not broken for feeling any of it. You're not broken if you lose your control over some shit either. After all, as I said, there's a river of slime running underneath the United States right now, and it's feeding on fear, outrage, and exhaustion. And of course, it's likely to seep into us. Of course, it's going to be likely to rattle our nervous system. I just want you to know that if you are struggling, you don't have to do this alone. Message me, reach out to me, join us in Circle. And, like I said, if you want a little bit of guidance, I'm happy to provide it as well. You just got to ask. Until next time, all of my dear witchy friends, much love from me to all of you.